All right, we're going to continue talking about editing interviews with B roll. I want to just do a quick reminder of the importance of preparation for an interview. This goes back to those video planning sheets that we talked about. It's especially important when you're interviewing people that are busy and they're taking time out of their day to get in front of your camera and answer questions. It is professional and respectful to go there knowing why you're there, having your questions ready, and being efficient and friendly and all those things so that it's a pleasant experience for the person. I have found that most people, generally speaking, do not really like being on camera. So you want to try and make it as easy on them as you possibly can. One of the things that you want to make sure that you're clear about, especially if you have a client that has hired you to shoot the interview, is you want to be very clear on the message. What are we trying to, why are we making this video? Are we talking about the program? Are we talking about one aspect of the program? Are we highlighting a person, doing a testimonial? It might seem obvious. You want to make sure everyone's expectations are clear and that as the video, producer, you're able to meet those expectations because you really understand and you have talked to the client who's hired you in order to be as as prepared as possible to give them what they want. Um, you want to know the finished length. That it's usually going to be shorter than you you think it should be, but it also will impact how long you're going to talk to people. You can't interview everybody for an hour. It would be so just hard to get through all that footage. Most interviews that we do for like a 3-minute finished piece are going to be somewhere in the 10-15 minute range, and even that's kind of long. You can get a lot of information out of somebody in 15 minutes. You want to run the questions by the client. Sometimes you want to run the questions by the interviewee so they just have a little bit of a heads up about what you're going to ask them and think about it. People, not always, some people tend to like blank out a little bit and they feel more comfortable if they know what's coming when they're on camera. One last thing I'm going to say, we always tell our interview subjects that they're not going to hear us ask the question on camera. That's generally how we work. It saves time to not hear the interviewer say the question. It's different if it's a talk show or something, but on a produced package like this, where it's just like the person is talking to the viewer directly, so you're not going to hear the interview question. That means they need to paraphrase back what you just asked them. So, for example, if I say, Nancy, what's your favorite color? If she just says blue, no, the audience is that there's open for interpretation what she's talking about. But if she says, my favorite color is blue, then you know exactly where she's coming from. We remind people of that all the time. Sometimes they forget in the middle of the interview, and you just say politely, oh, could you please paraphrase that question back? Then when you're trying to edit, you've got people talking in complete sentences, which is not usually what people tend to do. And so that will be oh so very helpful for you as you try and make sense. You try and create a narrative out of all these quotes and sound bites. You're always trying to find out from your interviewees the basic question of who are you, what are you doing, how are you doing it, and if it's an event, when is it, where is it, just the basic things that you need to know are fairly straightforward. It's easy to go off on tangents, and sometimes those can be really interesting, but you want to make sure you got your basics covered. Okay, that's all I'm going to say right now about interviewing. So, what's the deal with all these marks up here? Okay, so these are, I think, a really great way of organizing interview footage. I these I put them on the timeline rather than on the clip. I don't know why, just because for some reason that's how I do it. I think I started doing it when I had finished sequences anyway. So you know how to make a marker, right? Let's pretend we're gonna delete this marker. Uh, can I just delete it? there we go, clear selected marker. All right, and clear selected marker down here too. I suppose it doesn't matter. Anyway, so in order to get my marker where I want it, say like she says something really great right here. So I'm going to, with my timeline, nothing selected, I'm just going to hit the letter M, and that is going to give me a new marker here. If this is something, okay, let me back up. So I want to know why I put that marker there. I'm listening with my headphones to the interview, and I think, oh, I'm probably going to use that quote. So I make the mark, then I'm going to select that little marker and right click on my mouse, and I'm going to hit edit marker. All right, and here I'm going to just put a note to myself about why is it I'm selecting this clip, why I want to be a designer, something like that. Okay, and if it's something important that I want to be able to find easily, I can change the color. So that's going to stand out really well on the timeline. Your eye goes right to that. So you don't overuse the colors. The green ones are just kind of generic, but the colored ones, when I use them, are usually, oh, that's something I don't want to forget to use it. And then when I hover over the marker, it tells me what my note is. Oh, it's the most fulfilling, challenging part of it. You can do a lot with a 4x4 space. Advice for those considering the program. So I kind of can just at a glance find my clips more easily. All right, what comes next is not something I can teach you. It's something you just have to practice and get a feel for. Once you've gone through all your interviews, and possibly as you're going through your interviews, but I like to go through one interview at a time and select like the top like 3 or 4 things that the person said and pull them on the timeline in no particular order. Usually I kind of know if I have 3 minutes that I'm going to have to set it up with what is the thing we're talking about, what are some details about the thing I'm talking about, what's great about it, and can people still go see it? You know, that's the basic narrative flow that I'm going to go for. So when I look at my finished timeline, oh my gosh, there's so many layers. Let's start at the bottom. I've got some music. I've got my supplemental audio here. I should say my audio that was recorded with the, it's green, so it's different than the in-camera audio. I've got my video. It's probably color corrected. This is, okay, so in this case, we did kind of a little stylistic thing where we had a black mat, and then the B-roll we shrank down a little bit so then we could have this Restore Challenge text and a Metro Community College opaque logo. Let's see if I can make this bigger. See how we did that? So it caused a lot of layers. Then it goes into the interview. You can see that sorry, Nancy. We did a little bit of a vignette with a little bit of darkening around the outside. Obviously, we brought extra lights. We hit her microphone. We've got her name spelled correctly. Oh yeah, whenever you interview somebody, first thing you want to do is have them say and spell their name and tell you their position, because then when you are ready to do the lower third, you've got all that information. Otherwise, you're running around trying to find it on websites and stuff. This is the guy from the Habitat Restore. Then we've got the B-roll. He's still talking. We're chopping up his interview like crazy, but you never know because you've got all this cool B-roll that you're looking at and thinking, oh, the Restore sounds cool, and this guy knows what he's talking about. So we've got the teacher, we've got more of the designs that people did, and then we interviewed a couple of the students. This is one of the mentors who graduated from Metro, this cute girl who's a student. Yeah, so you can kind of see how it's coming together. You do the B-roll of things that they're talking about. You try and make them look good. You use probably the most probably potent or powerful quote right at the beginning to identify them, and then you kind of hide them behind the B-roll. This she's talking about when she helped make that nursery. Here's Courtney Ott. She's like a former student of Metro and went to her house. Her house was beautiful. It was fun to shoot her interview um, because she's really excited about the program. So, part of it is you just get lucky. People are cool and into the thing they're talking about, and it's really fun to interview them. Not everyone's going to be like that. Looks like we did a couple of dip to white on the transitions. Um, you know, it's just an artistic choice. Here's some footage that we had of people learning to do stuff at Metro. We went to a class one day and shot. So, yeah, there's a lot to it. This probably took, I don't know, 7 or 8 different shoots to put all this together. I think I made a opening and closing title, and this is probably in After Effects. And yeah, so there's quite a bit of work that goes actually into a 3-minute thing. Um, let's call it good for right now, and maybe I'll wrap it up with our next one.